Don't drink the water. The words were scribbled in shaky blue ink on a tiny, crumpled napkin. They stared up at Marcus Thorne, a man who had everything and nothing. He was sitting in his $100,000 wheelchair, in the most expensive restaurant in the city. Across from him, his beautiful fiancée, Seraphina, was smiling, her diamond ring glittering like ice. "Here you are, my love," Seraphina said, her voice like honey. She pushed the sparkling crystal glass closer to his hand. "Your special water. You must be so thirsty." Marcus looked at the glass. He looked at the note hidden in his lap. His heart began to hammer against his ribs like a trapped bird. The waitress who gave him the note was already gone. A small, silent girl with eyes as wide and dark as a hunted deer. She had accidentally spilled a drop of water, and in the confusion, her hand had slipped under the table, pressing the note into his weak, unfeeling hand. He had watched her run back to the kitchen, her shoulders shaking with fear. Now Marcus looked at his fiancée. She was the most beautiful woman he had ever known. She was the angel who had saved him when his world ended. She was also the only person who touched his food, his medicine, and his water. "Drink, Marcus," she urged, her smile perfect. "It will make you feel better." His hand trembled as he reached for the glass. The note in his other hand felt like a burning coal. What did she mean? Who was this girl? And what terrible secret was hiding in that clear, innocent-looking water? His life depended on the next move, and he had no idea who to trust. But to understand the ice-cold terror of that moment, we have to go back. Let me take you back to where this dark, twisted story truly began. 2 years ago, Marcus Thorne was not a man in a wheelchair. He was the king of the city. They called him the Lion of the City because everything he built was strong, powerful, and grand. He owned the tallest skyscrapers, the fastest cars, and a mansion that looked over the ocean like a modern-day castle. He was strong, handsome, and everything he touched turned to gold. And by his side was Seraphina. She was a beautiful art dealer with hair like spun gold and eyes the color of a summer sky. Everyone said she was a saint. She loved Marcus not for his money but for his strength. "You are my rock, Marcus," she would whisper, kissing him. "The strongest man I have ever known." Then came the day the lion fell. It was a rainy Tuesday. Marcus was visiting his newest skyscraper, a 90-story tower of glass and steel. He was on the phone, laughing, when a delivery truck, its brakes failing, swerved onto the sidewalk. Crash. The sound was like a bomb exploding. The world went black. When Marcus woke up, the world was white and it smelled like chemicals. The first thing he saw was the doctor's sad face. The doctor shook his head slowly. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Thorne," the doctor said, his voice low. "The damage to your spine, it's too severe. The nerves are completely severed. You will never walk again." In 1 second, Marcus Thorne's world did not just change. It shattered. The lion was broken. The man who could build empires could not even move his own legs. His money meant nothing. His power was gone. He was helpless. But Seraphina was there. She rushed into his hospital room, her eyes red from crying. "I will never leave you, my love," she sobbed, holding his hand. "I don't care if you can't walk. I love you. I will be your legs. I will be your strength. We will get through this together." And she was true to her word. Seraphina became his angel. She moved into his giant, cold mansion. She fired the nurses, saying they were too rough. "No one can care for you like I can," she said. She learned to help him move from his bed to his chair. She cooked all his meals. She managed all his appointments and his medicine. She was the first person he saw in the morning and the last person he saw at night. "You are my savior, Seraphina," Marcus would tell her, his voice weak. "I would be dead without you." "I just want you to be happy, my darling," she would say, kissing his forehead. But something was wrong. The doctors said that even though his legs were gone, his upper body should be strong. His arms should be powerful from moving his wheelchair. His mind should be clear. But Marcus wasn't getting stronger. He was getting weaker. Every single day he felt heavier. His arms, which should have been his new legs, felt like they were filled with wet sand. His hands shook so badly he could barely hold a fork. A strange, thick fog filled his brain. He couldn't think. He couldn't remember names. He was always tired, sleeping 14 hours a day and still waking up exhausted. The world seemed to spin slowly all the time. And he was always thirsty. A deep, burning thirst that nothing could stop. "I don't understand," he told his doctor. "I feel like I'm fading away. Like my body is slowly dying." Dr. Evans ran every test. Blood tests, brain scans, x-rays. "I'm puzzled, Marcus," the doctor said, scratching his head. "According to these tests, you are perfectly healthy. Except for your legs, of course. There is no medical reason for you to feel this weak. This made Marcus even more scared. Was he going crazy? But Seraphina was always there to comfort him. You're just depressed, my love, she said in her sweet, soft voice. Your body is sad about the accident. That's why you feel weak. You just need to rest. And she was always there with his special water. This is not just any water, she explained one day, holding up a beautiful, deep blue glass bottle. It's imported from a special spring in the Swiss Alps. The doctor said you must stay hydrated. This water has special minerals and electrolytes to help your nerves heal. It's very expensive, but you are worth it. She would open a fresh, sealed bottle for him every few hours. Drink up, my lion, she would coo, holding the glass to his lips. This will make you strong again. He trusted her completely. She was his angel, his rock, his entire world. His old friends had stopped visiting, uncomfortable with his wheelchair. His business partners were running his company and they barely called. Seraphina was all he had left. So he drank the water. Every day he drank glass after glass of the special, healing water. And every day the fog got thicker, his arms got heavier, and the world spun a little faster. This went on for a whole year. A year of fog and weakness. Then last week Marcus had insisted on going out. I'm tired of this house, Seraphina, he said, his voice a weak whisper. I want to go to La Saphir. Just for one night. I want to feel normal again. Seraphina did not like the idea. Oh darling, are you sure? So much effort. What if you get sick? The air, the people. Please, he begged. I need this. She finally agreed. And that is where they met Anna. La Saphir was the fanciest restaurant in the city. When Marcus rolled in, the whole room went silent. Everyone stared. The lion of the city in a wheelchair. Marcus felt small and weak. But Seraphina was beautiful. She smiled at everyone, holding Marcus's hand. A new waitress came to their table. She was young, maybe 19, and looked as pale as a ghost. She had big dark eyes that looked terrified. She didn't say hello. She just stood there shaking. The manager rushed over. My apologies, Mr. Thorne. This is Anna. She is mute. She cannot speak. But she is a very hard worker. Please just point to what you would like on the menu. Oh, the poor sweet thing, Seraphina said, giving Anna a kind smile. But Anna didn't smile back. She was staring. Not at Marcus in his wheelchair. She was staring at Seraphina. The restaurant water won't do, my love, Seraphina said to Marcus, pulling something from her large, expensive handbag. It was one of the blue bottles of imported water. I brought your special water. The minerals are very important. She handed the sealed blue bottle to Anna. Please chill this and bring 2 glasses, Seraphina ordered. The moment Anna's hands touched the blue bottle, all the color drained from her face. She looked at the bottle like it was a rattlesnake. Her hands trembled so badly she almost dropped it. She looked up, her terrified eyes meeting Marcus's. Then she turned and ran to the kitchen. What a strange, clumsy girl, Seraphina laughed. But Marcus felt a cold shiver run down his broken spine. Why was she so scared of a bottle of water? And that brought him back to this very moment. Seraphina had complained, and the manager had forced the poor, crying waitress to come back and serve them. And now the note was in his hand. Don't drink the water. Marcus looked at the glass. He looked at Seraphina's perfect, smiling face. What's wrong, darling? She asked, her voice full of fake worry. You look pale. You need your water. He was trapped. He was weak. He couldn't fight. He couldn't even stand up. If he drank the water, what would happen? And if he didn't drink it, what would Seraphina do? The silent waitress had just handed him a secret that was too dark to hide. But now that he knew it, Marcus realized he might not live long enough to tell anyone. The crystal glass sat on the white tablecloth like a ticking time bomb. Marcus's heart hammered. 1 second passed. 2. Seraphina's smile was painted on, but her eyes, her bright blue eyes, were as cold and still as a frozen lake. She was waiting. He couldn't drink it. The girl's terrified face flashed in his mind. The crumpled napkin felt like it was burning a hole in his hand. Don't drink the water. But he couldn't refuse. If he said, no, what would she do? She would know. She would know he suspected something. And what could he, a man who couldn't even stand, do against her? He was trapped. Drink, Marcus, she said again. Her voice was no longer honey. It was a sweet, sharp command. He had to do something. He had to do it now. Using all the strength in his weak body, Marcus lurched his upper body forward. His arm, which was already trembling, jerked wildly. Crash! The glass of water smashed onto the floor. Ice and water splashed everywhere, soaking the expensive carpet and the hem of Seraphina's dress. The whole restaurant went silent. Everyone stared. "Oh!" Marcus cried out, putting on a show. "Oh, Seraphina, I'm so clumsy. My hand, it just slipped. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." He let his head fall forward, pretending to be weak and ashamed. But he was watching her. For one single, tiny second, Seraphina's mask broke. Her beautiful face twisted into a look of pure, black fury. Her eyes narrowed into slits. Her hands clenched into white-knuckled fists on the table. She wasn't looking at the mess. She was staring at him. Then, as quickly as it came, the look was gone. "Oh, my poor, poor darling," she cooed, her sweet voice back. She instantly grabbed a napkin and started dabbing at his shirt, even though he wasn't wet. "Don't you worry about a thing. It's not your fault. It's those silly shaking hands. Don't be embarrassed." She smiled at the shocked diners around them. "He's just not feeling well," she announced to the room as if he were a child. The manager and the silent waitress Anna rushed over with towels. "I am so sorry, Mr. Thorne," the manager said, bowing. "It was my fault," Marcus whispered, playing his part. As the manager argued with another waiter, Anna knelt at Marcus's feet to clean the broken glass. Her back was to Seraphina. She was hidden from view. She worked quickly, her dark hair falling over her face. As she picked up the last piece of glass, her head came very close to Marcus's knee. She was so close he could feel the warmth from her. She didn't look up. Her hands were shaking so hard, she cut her finger on a sliver of glass. A drop of red blood dripped onto the white towel. And then she whispered one terrifying word. A word so quiet it was barely a breath. "Poison." Marcus's entire body went cold. It was like the spilled ice water had been dumped directly into his veins. Poison. The note was a warning. This was a confirmation. Anna stood up, her face pale and blank. She clutched her bleeding finger and ran back to the kitchen without looking at him. "What a clumsy girl," Seraphina said again, watching her run. "They really shouldn't hire people like that." She turned back to Marcus, her smile brighter than ever. "Now, my love, you still need your hydration. This outing has been so stressful for you." She pulled her giant, expensive handbag into her lap. Marcus watched, his heart frozen. She unzipped a side pocket. And she pulled out another sealed, blue bottle. "See," she said, her voice like a happy song. "I always come prepared. I knew one bottle wouldn't be enough." She signaled to the manager. "We need a new glass, please. And be quick about it. My fiancé is very weak and needs his special minerals." A new, clean glass was brought to the table. This time, Seraphina didn't give it to Marcus. She opened the bottle herself. The pst sound of the seal breaking echoed in Marcus's ears like a gunshot. She poured the clear liquid into the glass. "There we are," she said, placing it just out of his reach. "Let's just let it sit for a moment. I'll help you drink it slowly in a few minutes, my darling. We don't want any more accidents." She trapped him. She had taken away his chance to spill it. She was going to hold it to his lips herself. Marcus sat there, paralyzed in more ways than one. The fog in his brain suddenly vanished, replaced by a sharp, terrible clarity. He started to think. He thought about the past 2 years. Every single detail. The nurses. She fired them. They were too rough, she said. Or were they too nosy? Did one of them see her putting something in his water? His depression. Was he really sad or was he being drugged? The dizziness, the confusion. The doctor said there was no medical reason for it. But there was a chemical reason. His weak arms. He was always so tired. He blamed his broken body. But what if it was the poison, slowly eating away at his strength, making him too weak to even push his own wheelchair? Making him completely dependent on her? And the thirst. Oh God. The terrible, burning, constant thirst. He thought it was just a side effect of his medicine. But what if it was a side effect of the poison? What if the poison itself made him crave more poison? He looked at Seraphina. She was fixing her makeup in a small mirror, humming a little tune. She looked like an angel. A beautiful, golden-haired angel who was methodically, patiently, and lovingly murdering him. I don't feel well, Seraphina," Marcus whispered. The words were real this time. He felt sick. I think I want to go home. Her face snapped toward him. She looked at the full glass of water. Oh, darling, not yet, she said. You haven't had your water. You'll feel so much better once you drink it. Just a few sips. No, Marcus said. The word was quiet, but it was hard. I want to go home. Now. Seraphina's eyes narrowed. He had challenged her. He rarely, if ever, challenged her. She stared at him for a long moment. He could see her mind working. She was deciding. Force him to drink it here? Or take him home where it's safer? She chose home. Of course, my love, she said, her smile returning. You're right. It's too loud in here. You need your rest. She left the full, untouched glass of water on the table. She called for the valet. She pushed his wheelchair through the restaurant, all eyes on them. Marcus felt like he was a dead man rolling. He was a prisoner being transferred from a public cell to a private one. The ride home was torture. The giant, black Rolls-Royce was silent. The city lights blurred past the windows. Marcus stared straight ahead. He could feel Seraphina sitting next to him. He could smell her expensive perfume. It used to smell like flowers. Now it smelled like death. He was alone with her. Completely alone. The driver was separated by a thick glass partition. He was trapped in a metal box with his own killer. His mind was racing. What? The money. It had to be the money. He was worth billions. With him alive but weak and confused, she controlled everything. His bank accounts, his stocks, his entire company. She was his proxy. She signed everything. But if he died, his will. What was in his will? He couldn't remember. The fog, she had made him so foggy. Had she made him sign a new will? One that gave her everything? Yes, he remembered. 6 months ago. Just some boring papers, darling, she had said. To make sure you're taken care of. He had signed them without reading. She wasn't trying to make him weak. She was waiting. Waiting for the right time to give him a final, larger dose. Waiting for him to die so she could inherit it all. The restaurant, the outing, it was all a show. To show the world how caring she was, right before the sad, sick Mr. Thorne finally passed away from his complications. The car stopped. They were home. The mansion was huge, dark, and silent. It wasn't a castle. It was a tomb. Seraphina pushed his wheelchair into the grand marble hallway. The sound of the wheels echoed like footsteps in a graveyard. You must be so tired, she said. Her voice was too sweet. Let's get you straight to bed. She rolled him into the massive bedroom. She helped him get undressed. Her hands, which once felt so soft and loving, now felt like cold, smooth stones. Every time she touched his skin, he wanted to scream. He was in his pajamas. She lifted him from his chair into his bed. He was so helpless. He hated it. He hated her. There we go, my lion, she said, pulling the covers up to his chin. You just rest. You've had a very, very big night. She turned to the bedside table. On it was a silver tray. And on the silver tray was a new sealed blue bottle of water and a single empty glass. His nightly routine. His sleeping water. You must be so dehydrated, she said, her back to him. He watched her as she broke the seal. Yes, she poured the water. The clear, deadly water. Now, my love, she said, turning around. She was holding the glass. You didn't get to drink at the restaurant. So you must drink this. This was it. He couldn't knock it over. He was in bed. He had no excuse. Marcus did the only thing he could. He let his eyes flutter. He let his head roll to the side. He let out a long, slow breath and a quiet, fake snore. He pretended to be asleep. He heard her stop walking. He heard the silence. He waited. Marcus, she whispered. He didn't move. He kept snoring, a soft, rhythmic sound. Marcus, darling? Don't fall asleep yet. You need your water. He continued to snore. He heard her take a step closer. He could feel her standing over him. He could smell her perfume. He kept his eyes closed, but he was wide awake. His heart was a trap drum. Then he heard her sigh. It was not a sigh of love. It was a sigh of pure, ice-cold frustration. He chanced it. He opened his left eye just a tiny, tiny crack. Just enough to see. She was standing over his bed. And her face. It was not his Seraphina. It was not the angel. It was the monster from the restaurant. Her beautiful face was a mask of pure hatred. Her red lips were curled into a sneer of disgust. She was staring at his sleeping face with a look that could kill. "You pathetic, useless fool," she whispered to his sleeping form. "You can't even stay awake to drink." He watched, frozen in terror. She looked at the glass of water in her hand. She looked back at him. Then she did something that made his blood turn to ice. She reached into the pocket of her dress and pulled out a small dark brown glass bottle. A medicine bottle. He watched as she unscrewed the cap. He watched as she held it over the glass of special water. Drip, drip, drip. 3 dark, oily drops fell into the water. They vanished instantly. She thought he hadn't had his dose at the restaurant. She was making up for it. She was making this one stronger. She swirled the glass. Her face was calm, calculating. "Drink it or don't," she whispered, placing the poison glass on his bedside table, right next to his head. "You'll drink it in the morning. You always do." She smiled, a terrible, thin smile. "And soon, it will all be over." She turned off the light. She walked out of the room, closing the door with a soft, final click. Marcus was alone in the dark. He was wide awake. And next to his head, a glass of double-strength poison sat waiting for him. Marcus lay in the pitch black, his eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling he couldn't see. He didn't move. He didn't breathe. He just listened. The glass of double-strength poison was 2 feet from his face. He could almost smell it. A faint, bitter smell like burned almonds. His heart was a hammer. Thump, thump, thump. It was so loud, he was sure Seraphina could hear it from her room. He had to get rid of the water. He couldn't leave it. In the morning she would see the full glass. She would know he hadn't drunk it. She would know he was pretending to be asleep. And then she would know he was on to her. What would she do then? Would she be patient? Or would she stop playing the loving nurse? Would she just hold him down and force the poison down his throat? He felt sick. The angel he had loved was a monster. She had been slowly killing him for 2 years. And tonight she had doubled the dose. He had to think. He was weak. He was helpless. But for the first time in 2 years his mind was clear. The fog was gone, burned away by pure, cold fear. He thought about Anna. The silent waitress. Poison. How did she know? Who was she? Was she watching Seraphina? Had Seraphina hurt someone she loved? Anna was his only hope. She was the only other person in the world who knew the truth. But he was trapped in this tomb of a house. He had no phone. Seraphina kept it for him, to make sure he wasn't bothered. He had no way to call for help. He was alone. He listened. He heard the faint sound of water running in Seraphina's bathroom down the hall. He heard her walking in her room. He heard her open a drawer. He waited. 1 hour. 2 hours. The house finally went completely silent. She had to be asleep. This was his only chance. He had to get the glass. Slowly, carefully he moved his arm. His muscles screamed. They felt like rusty hinges. The poison had made him so weak. He strained. His fingers stretched toward the bedside table. Almost. His hand was shaking violently. What if he knocked it over? What if it smashed? The sound would wake her. She would come running. He took a deep breath. He held it. He pushed all his strength into his arm. His fingers touched the cold, wet glass. He gripped it. Success. He carefully lifted the glass from the table. The water sloshed, making a tiny, terrifying sound. He held it to his chest. He was sitting up in the dark, holding a cup of his own death. Now what? He couldn't get to the bathroom to pour it down the sink. His wheelchair was across the room. He couldn't lift himself into it alone. He couldn't throw it on the thick carpet. In the morning she would see the wet patch. She would know. He looked around the dark room. His eyes, now used to the dark, searched for an answer. And then he saw it. In the corner by the window was a large, leafy plant. A big fern in a huge clay pot. Seraphina had put it there. To bring some life into the room, she'd said. The plant. It was his only choice. He started to move. He gripped the edge of the mattress. He had to get from his bed to that plant. He dragged his useless legs. His arms, shaking with the effort, pushed his body across the giant bed. Felt like climbing a mountain. Scrape, scrape. The sound of his pajamas on the silk sheets was as loud as a scream. He froze. He listened. Nothing. The house was silent. He kept going. He reached the edge of the bed. The plant was still 5 feet away. He couldn't reach it. He would have to get on the floor. He had not been on the floor in 2 years. What if he fell? What if he couldn't get back up? He had no choice. He held the glass of poison in one hand. With the other he lowered himself off the bed. Thud. He landed hard on the carpet. A shock of pain went up his useless spine. He almost cried out. He almost dropped the glass. He stopped. He listened. Silence. He was on the floor. He was a broken man crawling in the dark. He felt pathetic. But then he felt a new feeling. Anger. Hot red anger. She had done this to him. She had made him this weak. The anger gave him strength. He held the glass high so it wouldn't spill. He used his elbows and his free hand to drag his body across the carpet. 1 foot. 2 feet. He was like a wounded animal. Crawling. Hiding. He reached the pot. It was huge. The soil was dark and dry. He lifted the glass with his shaking hand. He tipped it over. He watched the clear, poisoned water sink into the dark earth. It vanished. It was gone. He let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He had done it. He put the empty glass on the floor. He felt a wave of relief so strong, he almost fainted. He was safe. For tonight. In the morning he would put the empty glass back on the table. She would think he drank it. He would be sick. Sicker than usual from the double dose. She would be happy. She would be relaxed. And that would be when he made his plan. A plan to find Anna. A plan to escape. He turned to crawl back to the bed. Click. Marcus froze. His blood turned to ice. The sound. It was the sound of his bedroom door. The handle was turning. The door slowly opened. A line of light from the hallway cut across the dark floor. And in the doorway a shadow stood. It was Seraphina. She was wearing a silk robe. Her hair was down. She was just standing there watching him. She had never been asleep. She had been waiting. Listening. Her voice cut through the silence as cold and sharp as a knife. What are you doing on the floor, Marcus? Marcus's heart stopped. He was caught. The empty glass was on the floor beside him. The wet soil in the plant pot was just inches away. Seraphina's shadow filled the doorway. She was completely still. He had to think. He had to lie faster and better than he had ever lied in his life. Seraphina, he cried out, his voice shaking. He made it sound like a sob. I'm so sorry. I fell. He pointed a trembling finger at the empty glass. I woke up, he stammered, the words tumbling out. I was so thirsty. My throat was burning. I reached for the water you left me, but my hand was shaking so badly. He looked down, pretending to be ashamed. I dropped it. The glass. It fell on the carpet. The water went everywhere, all over the floor. He started to drag himself, making a big show of being weak. I didn't want to wake you. I'm always causing trouble. I'm so clumsy. I was trying to get to the glass, to clean up my mess, and I fell out of the bed. I fell, Seraphina. And I can't get back up. He ended with a pathetic, broken sound. He was playing the helpless victim he had been for 2 years. Seraphina stared at him. Her face was a blank, cold mask. He couldn't read her. She walked slowly into the room. She did not look at him. She walked straight to the plant. She looked at the empty glass on the floor. She looked at the carpet. Then she bent down. Marcus stopped breathing. She slowly, very slowly, reached out one perfect pale finger. She stuck it directly into the soil of the plant. She pulled her finger out. It was dark and wet. She looked at her finger. Then she looked at Marcus, who was still on the floor. A terrible, slow smile spread across her face. It was the scariest smile he had ever seen. Oh, you poor clumsy darling, she cooed, her sweet voice back. You didn't spill the water on the carpet. She laughed, a light, tinkling sound that made his blood run cold. You watered the fern. He stared at her, his lie caught. She knew. She knew. She knew he had dumped the water on purpose. But she was playing a game. She walked over to him, her smile still in place. You must have been half asleep. You must be so confused, my poor foggy lion. She knelt beside him on the floor. And then you fell. You poor thing. Let's get you back into bed. She was not angry. She was amused. This was a game to her. He was a mouse and she was the cat. And he had just shown her that he was smart enough to see the trap. And she loved it. He stammered, but she cut him off. Hush, my love. Don't speak, she said. She put her strong arms under his. He was shocked at how strong she was. She lifted his upper body like he was a child. She helped him drag his useless legs. She half lifted, half pushed him back onto the bed. Her touch was cold. She tucked him in, pulling the blankets up to his chin. Now, she said, standing over him. The problem is you're still dehydrated. And you missed your special minerals. He felt a new wave of terror. No. I'm just tired, he whispered. Nonsense, she said brightly. You're weak because you didn't drink. I can't have you getting even sicker, can I? She turned and walked out of the room. Marcus's mind raced. What was she doing? She was going to get more? He heard her in the hallway. He heard the clink of glass. She came back in. In her hand was a new glass of water. It was from the kitchen. It was not from a sealed blue bottle. This is just plain water, darling, she said, reading his mind. We can't waste another bottle of your expensive alpine water on the plants, can we? She smiled. But we still need to add your vitamins. She reached into the pocket of her silk robe. She pulled out the small, dark brown medicine bottle. She held it up for him to see. You need to take your medicine, Marcus, she said. Her voice was no longer sweet. It was flat. It was an order. She unscrewed the cap. Drip, drip, drip. 3 drops. Right in front of him. She wasn't hiding anymore. She swirled the glass. Now, sit up. He was trapped. He was in bed. He couldn't spill it. He couldn't lie. She knew he was faking. If he refused, she would know for sure. And then, what? She would hold him down. She would force it. He had no choice. Slowly, using his arms, he pushed himself up. He leaned against the headboard, his heart exploding in his chest. Good boy, she said like she was talking to a dog. She brought the glass to his lips. He looked at the clear water. He looked into her cold, blue, smiling eyes. He had to drink it. He opened his mouth. He took a small sip. The water hit his tongue. It was horrible. It was bitter, chemical, and sharp. It burned. He had to swallow. He forced the small sip down his throat. It felt like swallowing fire. Good, she said. Now all of it. No, please. He whispered. It tastes funny. It's your medicine, silly, she said. Medicine always tastes funny. Drink. She pushed the glass harder against his lips. He couldn't fight her. He was too weak. He took another sip. And another. He drank the whole glass. The poison burned all the way down. There, she said, taking the empty glass from him. That wasn't so hard, was it? She smiled, a truly happy smile this time. Now go to sleep. You'll feel so much better in the morning. She put the empty glass on the bedside table. She walked to the door. And Marcus, she said, stopping in the doorway, don't get out of bed again. You might hurt yourself. If you try to water the plants, you might fall and break your neck. She smiled. Good night, my love. Click. The door closed. He was alone again. But this time he was not safe. The poison was inside him. He could feel it. A new kind of fog was already rolling into his brain. But this was different. It was heavy. His eyelids felt like they were made of lead. His tongue felt thick. He was falling asleep. For real this time. No. He had to stay awake. He had to fight it. But the double dose. No, the triple dose. It was too strong. He felt his body go limp. His head fell back against the pillow. His last thought, as the black chemical fog dragged him under, was of the silent waitress. And he was lost. He woke up hours later. Or maybe days. He didn't know. The room was bright. Sunlight was streaming in. He felt horrible. He felt worse than he had ever felt in his life. His head was spinning. The room was tilting. A wave of sickness washed over him. He heard a sound. He turned his head. It felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Seraphina was sitting in a chair by his bed. She was reading a magazine and sipping coffee. She looked fresh and beautiful. She looked up and smiled. Ah, you're awake, sleepyhead. You slept for almost 16 hours. You must have been so tired. She put her coffee cup down. I have your breakfast. And your morning water. On the tray next to a bowl of oatmeal was a tall glass of clear, sparkling water. Marcus's stomach turned. He couldn't do it again. He couldn't drink any more. He had to get out. He had to get to Anna. He had to get to a doctor. He needed a new plan. He couldn't just spill it. He couldn't refuse. She knew he was faking. He had to get to a hospital. Away from her. Where she couldn't control what he drank. He had to fake an emergency. A real one. One that she couldn't ignore. She stood up. She picked up the glass of poison. Time for your minerals, my love. She walked toward the bed. This was it. It was his only chance. As she brought the glass to his lips, he took a deep, shuddering breath. He let his eyes roll back in his head. And he screamed. Ag. He clutched his chest with both hands. My chest. My heart. He gasped, putting on the performance of his life. I can't breathe. Help me. Seraphina. Call 911. He let his body go limp, his head lolling to the side. Seraphina froze. The glass of water in her hand. Her eyes were wide. She stared at him, her face a mask of shock. Was she scared for his life? Or was she excited that her plan was finally working? Marcus gasped, his hands clutching his chest. Call 911. Seraphina froze. She stared at him, her eyes wide. The glass of poisoned water in her hand trembled. Was this it? Was she scared? Did she see her billion-dollar prize dying too soon before she was ready? Marcus put every last bit of his strength into the performance. He let out a horrible, gurgling sound. My heart, please, Seraphina, it hurts. He watched her face. He was begging for a flicker of fear, of concern, of anything. And then he saw it. She laughed. It was not a giggle. It was a low, cold, empty laugh. A laugh of pure disappointment. Oh, Marcus, she sighed, shaking her head. She lowered the glass of water. A heart attack. Really? That is so boring. Marcus's blood ran colder than the ice water he'd spilled. The fake pain in his chest vanished, replaced by a real, heavy dread that crushed his lungs. She knew. You're a terrible actor, my love, she said. Her voice was flat. The sweet fake honey was gone. The game was over. You were always so easy to read. He stammered, his act falling apart. He was exposed. Helpless. You really thought that would work? She asked. She sounded genuinely curious. You'd fake a heart attack. I'd panic and call 911. The handsome paramedics would rush you to the hospital, away from me. You'd tell them I was poisoning you. Is that the plan? She walked over to the window and placed the poison glass on the sill, the sunlight making it sparkle. It was a stupid plan, Marcus, she said, turning back to him. A desperate, stupid plan. She walked to his bedside table. She picked up his cell phone. The one he hadn't touched in 2 years. You want to call for help? She asked, holding it up. You want to tell someone your little secret? She smiled, a thin, cruel line. Then she walked back to the window, picked up the full glass of poisoned water, and dropped the phone directly into it. Sizzle. The screen lit up, glitched, and went black. The poison bubbled around it. Marcus stared, horrified. He was completely cut off from the world. No one is coming to save you, Seraphina said. She sat in the chair, crossing her beautiful legs. She looked like a queen. This house is my fortress, Marcus. The staff? They work for me. They see a sad, sick man and a loving, saintly fiancée. Who do you think they will believe? She leaned forward. You had to ruin it. You just had to. Ruin what? He whispered, his voice trembling. My plan. My perfect, simple plan, she said, her voice rising. It was so easy. The strong, powerful lion of the city has a tragic accident. His loving fiancée, Seraphina, gives up everything to care for him. But his body is too broken. He gets weaker and weaker. He gets confused, he signs over his company to his loving fiancée to manage, and then one sad day his poor, broken heart just stops. She smiled. Everyone would cry. They would call me a saint. And I would own everything you ever built. It was clean. It was simple. But you had to listen to her. The name was a poison on her tongue. That silent girl, Seraphina hissed. The waitress, Anna. Marcus's heart leaped. Anna, you know her? Oh, I know her, Seraphina sneered. I know her very, very well. In fact, I've been counting on her. This was a new twist. A dark, terrifying new twist. What do you mean? Marcus asked. You don't remember her, do you? Your brain is too foggy from the minerals, Seraphina mocked. Her name is Anna Petrenko. Does that name mean anything to you? Her father? Dmitri Petrenko? Marcus's mind searched through the thick, chemical fog. Dmitri. A memory. A faint, sad memory. A tall man with a kind face and a thick accent. A brilliant builder. His very first big project. Dmitri. Marcus whispered. He was my chief engineer. A good man. He was, Seraphina agreed, until he was caught stealing. Stealing thousands and thousands of dollars from you. I remember that, Marcus said, the memory becoming clearer. The proof, the bank records. The bank records I gave you, Seraphina said, her voice dripping with pride. The proof I faked. He was in my way, Marcus. He was too honest. He was slowing me down. So I had you fire him. I had you ruin him. Marcus felt sick. He had destroyed a good man. Because of her. What happened to him? Marcus whispered. Oh, he lost everything, Seraphina said, waving her hand like she was shooing a fly. His house, his reputation. His wife left him. And about a year later he drank a bottle of pills. She smiled. And his little daughter, Anna? She saw the whole thing. The stress was so bad she stopped speaking. She's been mute ever since. Tragic. Marcus was speechless. The evil, it went back years. This wasn't just about money. This was about pure, cold-blooded destruction. She blames you, of course, Seraphina continued. She thinks you killed her father. She got that job at La Saphir just to be near you. She's been watching you for months, waiting for a chance to get revenge. Marcus's mind was spinning. No, that wasn't right. She warned me, Marcus said. She tried to save me. Did she? Seraphina laughed. Or did she see me, her father's real destroyer, and decide to ruin my plan? It doesn't matter. She's a loose end. And I hate loose ends. You're going to hurt her? Hurt her. Seraphina stood up. Oh no, Marcus. I'm going to use her. She's the best part of my new plan. New plan? Yes. My sad widower plan is ruined. Thanks to you. So I need a new story. A faster story. She walked over to her desk. She unlocked a drawer. The new story is a tragedy, she said, pulling out a file. The great Marcus Thorne is murdered. A terrible, sad murder. She threw the file on his bed. The police investigate. And they find the killer. A disturbed, silent girl named Anna Petrenko. A girl with a motive, revenge for her father's death. A girl who was seen at his table. A girl who, the police will find, has been buying this. She reached into the drawer again. She pulled out a small, dark brown medicine bottle. The same bottle she used. I had a few of these special mineral bottles planted in her apartment this morning, right after you made that clumsy scene at the restaurant, Seraphina said. And I even have this. She pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. It looked like a note. It's a confession. In her handwriting. I've been practicing her signature for weeks. It says how she poisoned you to make you pay for what you did to her father. This was a nightmare. She wasn't just killing him. She was going to frame a poor, innocent girl for his murder. A girl whose life she had already destroyed. You're a monster, Marcus whispered, staring at her in pure horror. I'm a winner, Seraphina corrected him. And the game is over. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of playing the sweet, loving nurse. She walked to the big, ornate dresser against the wall. She opened a small, silk-lined jewelry box. The water? That was to make you weak. To fog your mind. To make you helpless, she said, pushing aside her diamond necklaces. It was my slow plan. She reached inside. This, she said, is my fast plan. She pulled out a medical syringe. It was already full of a clear, deadly liquid. Marcus's body went cold. No. Seraphina. No, he pleaded. He tried to push himself back to get away. But he was weak. He was tangled in the sheets. The poison from last night was still making his arms feel like lead. She held the needle up to the sunlight, tapping it with her long red fingernail. Flick, flick. A tiny drop of liquid squirted from the tip of the needle. It's just a simple air bubble, my love, she said, her voice the sweet angelic honey he used to love. It will travel to your heart or your brain. The doctors will think it was a stroke. Or a heart attack. A tragic, natural end for such a sick man. She smiled, her eyes as bright and beautiful as a summer sky. And just as empty. Good night, my lion, she whispered. She lunged at him, the needle flashing. Flick. The needle flashed. Seraphina lunged, her beautiful face a mask of murder. No. Marcus roared. Pure, animal terror flooded his body. The fog, the weakness, the poison, it all vanished, burned away by a final desperate burst of adrenaline. He was the lion again, if only for 1 second. He couldn't move his legs, but his arms shot up. He caught her. His hands, which had trembled for 2 years, clamped down on her wrists like steel traps. He gripped her so hard he felt her bones grind. Scream. Seraphina let out a sound like an angry bird. She was shocked by his strength. The needle was stuck, suspended in the air, 1 inch from his neck. Let go, she hissed, trying to push the syringe down. You monster. Marcus grunted, using every last bit of strength he had. His muscles screamed. It was a horrible, silent fight. He was on his back, weak and poisoned. She was on top of him, strong and fueled by pure greed. She twisted her wrist. The needle grazed his skin. He felt a tiny, sharp sting. He bucked his upper body, roaring again. He slammed his head forward, trying to hit her, but she dodged. With a powerful shove, he pushed her back. Seraphina stumbled, falling against the bedside table. Crash. The lamp, the tray, the other glass of poisoned water, everything smashed onto the floor. The room was suddenly lit only by the bright morning sun from the window. Seraphina was on the floor, but she still had the syringe. She scrambled to her feet, her hair wild, her face red with fury. "You are going to die, Marcus," she screamed. "You are going to die right now." She raised the needle and charged him again like a wild animal. Marcus had no strength left. He had used it all. He could only raise his weak arms to cover his face. This was it. Bang. The bedroom door flew open, smashing against the wall. Marcus flinched. Seraphina froze, her arm raised, the needle ready to strike. A man stood in the doorway. It wasn't a doctor. It wasn't the police. It was Victor, the new head of security. A huge, silent man with a face like a block of stone. Seraphina had hired him 2 months ago. Seraphina's brain worked like lightning. Her face changed instantly. The fury vanished. The madness was gone. Tears burst from her eyes. Her body started to shake. She let out a terrible, heartbreaking sob. "Victor," she screamed, holding up the syringe. "Thank God you're here. Thank God." Victor just stared, his eyes blank. "He's gone crazy," Seraphina cried, pointing at Marcus. He grabbed this from my medical bag. He's trying to kill himself. He keeps saying he wants to die. I was trying to stop him. He's too strong." She was brilliant. She was a perfect actress. "No," Marcus yelled from the bed. He was panting, his heart ready to explode. "Victor, she's lying. She's the one. She's trying to kill me." He pointed with a shaking finger. Look at the phone. She put my phone in the water. She's been poisoning me. She has the poison right there." He was frantic. He sounded like a madman. Victor looked at Seraphina, who was crying into her hands. He looked at Marcus, who was half naked in a tangled, messy bed, pointing and screaming. He looked at the floor. He saw the broken glass. He saw the lamp. Then his eyes moved to the window. He saw the other glass of water. The one with the black, dead cell phone in it. He looked at it for a long, silent second. Marcus felt a tiny spark of hope. He sees it. He sees the phone. He has to believe me. Victor turned his cold, blank eyes back to Marcus. He took one slow step into the room. Then another. He walked right past the sobbing Seraphina. He walked directly to the window. He stared at the phone in the glass. "Victor, please?" Seraphina cried. He's hysterical. We need to call the doctor." Victor didn't look at her. He reached out his huge meaty hand. He plucked the wet, dead phone from the poisoned water. He turned it over in his hand. He looked at Marcus. "You are upsetting the missus," Victor said. His voice was a low, dead rumble. "No, Victor, listen to me," Marcus begged. "I see what's happening here," Victor said. He dropped the phone onto the carpet. "You're a very sick man. You're confused. You're making a mess. And you're scaring her." The spark of hope died. It turned to ice. She's paying you, isn't she?" Marcus whispered, the horrible truth hitting him. You're in on it." Victor didn't answer. He just walked toward the bed. No, get away from me," Marcus yelled, trying to scramble backward. Victor reached down. He grabbed Marcus's weak arms. His grip was like a steel vise. He pinned Marcus's shoulders flat against the mattress. Marcus was completely, totally helpless. He couldn't move a muscle. Seraphina's sobbing stopped instantly. She let out a long, happy sigh. She wiped her fake tears from her face. "Thank you, Victor," she said, her voice as cold and clear as ice. She walked calmly to the bed, the syringe held firmly in her hand. She looked down at Marcus, who was pinned like an insect. "You see, my love," she whispered. "No one is coming to save you." She raised the needle. "Hold him still, Victor," Seraphina said, her voice dropping to a businesslike tone. "I don't want to miss the vein." "Hold him still, Victor." Seraphina's voice was ice. She brought the sharp, glittering needle down, aiming for the big vein in Marcus's neck. This was it. The end. His final breath. Victor's hands were like concrete blocks on his shoulders. He couldn't move. He couldn't fight. He was going to die. He saw his life flash before his eyes. The skyscrapers he built. His father's proud face. The horrible, twisting crash of the truck. And then, Anna. The silent, brave girl. The girl who had tried to save him. He had failed her. He was about to let this monster kill him and then frame that innocent girl for his murder. No. Anger, pure and black, exploded in his chest. It was a hotter fire than any poison. As Seraphina leaned in, her eyes focused, her perfect evil face just inches from his. Marcus did the only thing he could. He spit. He gathered every last bit of saliva in his dry, poisoned mouth and spit right in her beautiful face. You filthy, filthy animal. Seraphina shrieked. She jumped back, her hands flying to her face, her body shaking in pure, rich disgust. And she dropped the syringe. It landed on the white bedsheets right next to Marcus's hip. It was his only chance. Victor, startled by her scream, loosened his grip for a single tiny second. Get it? Seraphina shrieked, her voice a wet, furious hiss. Get the needle, Victor. Victor let go of Marcus's left arm and lunged for the syringe. But Marcus was faster. His left arm, free for the first time, shot out. His fingers, weak and shaking, wrapped around the plastic barrel of the syringe just as Victor's giant, meaty hand clamped down on his hand. A horrible, desperate tug-of-war began. He has it. Victor, stop him. He'll use it on us. Seraphina screamed. Victor was a monster. He twisted Marcus's wrist. Marcus screamed in real, sharp pain, but he did not let go. He held the needle in his fist, his knuckles white. Victor twisted harder. He was going to break his wrist. Drop it, Mr. Thorne, Victor grunted, applying more and more pressure. No, never. Marcus gasped, sweat pouring down his face. He could feel the small bones in his hands starting to crack. This is a story you just can't make up. Comment below right now and tell us where you're watching from. This is getting crazy and we want to know who is on this journey with us. Victor was too strong. With a final, sickening pop, he ripped the syringe from Marcus's hand. Marcus cried out, his hand exploding in fire-hot pain. He had lost. It was over. Good, Seraphina said, breathing heavily. She was furious. Her perfect makeup was smeared from where he had spit on her. Now hold him down. And this time don't let him move. I don't care if you have to break his arms. Victor tossed the syringe to her. Seraphina caught it, her eyes glittering with hate. Let's try this again, she said, her voice a low, animal growl. Victor grabbed Marcus's now broken hand and his other arm, pinning him flat. The pain was so bad Marcus could barely see. Seraphina raised the needle high. This was the end. No more tricks. No more hope. Crash. It sounded like a bomb exploding. Everyone froze. Seraphina, Victor, and Marcus all snapped their heads toward the sound. It wasn't the door. It was the giant, floor-to-ceiling window. The thick, reinforced glass was shattered, a spiderweb of cracks spreading from a gaping hole. A large, red brick sat in the middle of the expensive carpet. What in the? Seraphina whispered, her arms still raised. Marcus looked past her, through the shattered hole in the window, out onto the bright green lawn. And his heart stopped. She was standing there. Pale, terrified, and shaking from head to toe. But she was there. It was Anna. The silent waitress. She was holding her phone up, the camera lens pointed directly at them. She wasn't just watching. She was recording. Comment part 2 right now if you need to see what happens next. You are not going to believe this.